Welcome back to a timey-wimey pod where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. I'm Rebecca,
I'm Haley.
and today we are discussing Series 4, Episode 9, Forest of the Dead.
Yeah, we are officially here talking about Forest of the Dead, and there are so many emotions. Stephen Moffat, every time.
Oh, I have a lot to say about Stephen Moffat, and I can't wait to get into this episode. But first, we just wanted to thank you guys because we hit 1,000 followers on TikTok.
We did, which is so exciting. So thank you guys for following us and all of your support. It means the world.
It really does. And if you don't follow us on there already, you should because we post fun snippets and occasionally some really good edits. And I am begging for a Doctor and River edit after this episode. I need it. I need a new one.
Definitely is going to come at some point in the future.
Good to know. Well, are you ready for some fantastic facts?
Yes.
All right, so this episode aired June 7th, 2008. It was once again written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Euro Slin. There were a few different titles for this episode. So it was originally called Forest of the Night, which I find really interesting because they used that title again later. They changed it because they thought it was too close to midnight, and that being the next episode.
Fair
And
enough.
yeah, fair enough. And then for a long time, in fact, it even like for most of post production, and I think this title like made it onto a few things. This episode was almost called Rivers Run.
Wait, I
Right?
do love that name actually. I'm glad they went with Forest of the Dead. I think that makes way more sense. Like against Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. I think
Mm.
that sounds so good. But Rivers Run is so interesting. It just makes me think of Demons Run. Wait, what is it? Demons Run when a good man goes to war?
Yeah, it's Demon's Run. I agree with you about I like how the titles like mirror each other. Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. They just sound good together.
Mhm.
But Rivers Run, so good. Like, that they should have used that again or kept it. I really like that title. But another alternate title was The Return of the Dead.
Okay, I don't like that one. That's just
Me
very
either.
basic and boring.
Yeah, it's too generic, so I don't like it. But yeah, so we got Forest of the Dead. The wedding dress that Donna Noble wears in this episode when we see her getting married to Lee, who I have so much to say about Lee, I can't wait. But it's the same wedding dress that she wears in The Runaway Bride.
Iconic. That dress is so iconic. I love that wedding dress so much. And I know it's such like a 2007
Yeah.
wedding dress, but I still love it.
Oh yeah, it's a terrible wedding dress, but I love it and I'm obsessed with it and it's iconic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this next thing isn't a fantastic fact because it's not really a fact. It's more of just like Stephen Moffat's own headcanon about this episode, but I find it really interesting and I feel like we have to talk about it. So, when Moffat was writing this episode, he kind of imagined that Dr. Moon, who's played by Colin Salmon, is a future version of the Doctor. And essentially, that some point in the far future, as the Doctor was dying, he put his mind in the library so he could be with River. And that's like his own personal kind of headcanon about this episode, I guess, that Dr. Moon is the Doctor. And I find that really interesting. I think it makes sense if you're watching this two-parter with that idea. And I just think it's a fun little headcanon that you can either take or leave it. And yeah, what do you think?
Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that Moffat himself said that because I was actually going to ask you when we get to talking about Dr. Moon in this episode if you've heard of this theory, but I guess it's not even exactly a theory. Like Moffat himself came up
Hmm.
with this headcanon.
Yeah. Are you ready to jump into the episode?
I am. Something about this episode that I really appreciate is the virtual reality that Cal created because
Mm.
I love a good alternate reality, alternate universe trope.
Yup.
And it is so interesting in this episode. I remember being gagged the first time I watched this episode. And honestly, I still kind of am because how it was done is just so good. And I love all of the moments where Donna is clocking that something is off, time is funky, things are weird in this reality.
Yeah, and I love how this whole thing kind of mirrors the end of her whole arc on the show because she ends up in this alternate timeline universe thing similar to Turn Left. And also, her
Mm,
whole thing is that she's forgetting things and she forgot about the doctor, and that's a direct parallel to how she leaves the show.
mm-hmm.
So I think that's just really interesting. I don't know if that was intentional of the writers to kind of like tease that and tease where her story is going, but I really like it and I think it's really interesting and really really sad because this whole storyline in this alternate world reality is just really sad for Donna.
Oh, it is so, so sad. Every time the episode gets to the part where Miss Evangelista and Donna are talking in the park, and Miss Evangelista is like, Donna, like, your kids, they're not real. And to see the look on her face, again, I say it literally every week. Where is Catherine Tate's awards for this
Literally.
entire series? Because, oh my gosh, like her acting in this scene is so heartbreaking and like gives you such a pit in your stomach. And yeah, just like her realizing, like, oh, these kids are actually disappearing because they're not real. Horrifying.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, despite it all, like, she loves her kids. And, like, I
Mm-hmm.
love when she says to Miss Evangelista, like, you don't get it. You don't have children. Like, even though she's acknowledging that this reality isn't real, she's refusing to accept the idea that her children aren't real. And the scene in the bedroom where they disappear is
Mm.
so heartbreaking. And again, acting chops to Catherine Tate because she performs that scene so well. It's so heartbreaking. Like, I can always hear her scream and cry, and just her, like, digging through the beds. It's so, so heartbreaking. As well as the scene when Lee comes home and, like, the world is ending. Oh, it's just so sad. Then they're like trying to hold on to each other but can't. And he's like, am I real? And oh, she's saying, I'll find you. Like, I promise I'll find you. Oh my gosh. It's so heartbreaking.
Can we talk about how the whole Donna and Lee thing at the end of this episode is like the biggest fumble in Donna's arc? I mean, not really,
Oh,
but like her romantic arc. Like,
oh,
don't get me wrong. I love Sean Noble.
yeah.
Noble to I forget the last names, guys. Forgive me. It's
Whatever.
been a minute. Like, I love him. Don't get me wrong. But like Lee, like Donna, and it makes
No,
me so upset.
Lee trying to call out to her and he can't actually kills me every single time. It's
Yeah.
so, so heartbreaking. It's something that haunts me, and I'll just think about randomly how sad that is and how he probably goes on wherever he is in the universe, like thinking about her, maybe even trying to find her. Meanwhile, she kind of assumes that he wasn't ever real, that maybe
Yeah.
he was just like a figment of what she wanted, her version of a perfect man. And then eventually she goes on to completely forget him because her memory is wiped. And it's just so, so, so heartbreaking. And I just, the image and the sound of him trying to call out to her, but he can't. I was watching this episode today and I was like, just get off that teleport. Like, just get off that thing. Oh my gosh, it kills me. It's so, so soul crushing.
Yeah, I can never get over Lee just teleporting away, and
Hmm.
Donna never knows that he was real and actually existed, and he actually wanted to talk to her and like hang out with her. And I could go on and on about this,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I liked seeing them like go fishing together and like, I don't
Mhm.
know, like we don't really see a lot. We don't need to see a lot, but I don't know, they had a sweet little thing going on, and the idea that a man like who can never speak is just like the perfect man for Donna is really funny. It just is.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah. I love how when she's talking to the doctor, she's like, "What does that say about me?" And he says, "Everything." And then he
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, did I say everything? I meant to say nothing."
yeah. That's like so best friend coded. Like I would say that
Mhm.
to one of my friends and then be like, "No,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about it."
Same.
One thing I don't like about the like we keep calling it alternate reality, but I guess it's more like a matrix situation. Whatever. It's just the idea that Miss Evangelista, how they kind of have to like trade her beauty for brains, and like that's not exactly what the episode does, because it's not like they say like, "Oh, I decided to look ugly so I could be smart." But it is just kind of like inherently this the subcontext, I guess you could say, which always just kind of bugs me. And she also says like, "Oh, I have the one thing or the two things that you need to see absolute truth, which is I'm brilliant and I'm unlovable." It's just kind of a sad idea that you have to have one or the other. You can either be lovable or you can be like really smart and see through things. And I don't know, I just don't like the kind of idea that it sets up that she once she was ugly is when she was really smart. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Like this subcontext is just not great. I know exactly what you're saying. If there was something about these episodes to change, I would change that.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest complaint about this episode because honestly, everything else, like in general, this two-parter is an old timer for me. Like, it's
Mhm.
definitely in my top 10 favorite episodes. Like, maybe my top 10 story of like this era, the RTD1 era. And all of that is because of River's song. There's so many great moments between River and the Doctor in this episode, and I just love how throughout the episode their dynamic changes. Like in the beginning, he's still very like he still has walls up around her. He still doesn't
Mhm.
trust her. He's still trying to like wrap his mind around who she is and who she could mean to him. And I think by the end of it, he sees how great she is, and he sees that she is a person that he could easily, love and spend time with and run around the universe with. And I just love how his attitude towards her softens towards the end of the episode.
I love that too. There are so many wonderful lines in this episode between the two of them. And the line that I really, really appreciate that's at the beginning of this episode is when River's talking to the crew. She's like, "Listen, all you need to know is this. I trust that man to the end of the universe. And actually, we've been."
Yeah.
So
Yep.
good.
So good. And I love when she's talking to Anita, and Anita's like, "Well, he doesn't really seem to like trust you or know you." And River's like, "There's a tiny problem. He hasn't met me yet." And the way Alex Kingston delivers that line, I love it, cuz she's like so exasperated and just like, "He hasn't met me yet." Like you can feel her
Mhm.
frustration and pain. It's so good.
Mhm. I also love that Tin is still super bothered that she has a Sonic, like his Sonic, his future self Sonic. And then she tells him back, like, "Stop being so emotional." And he's like, "I'm not emotional." And they're just arguing back and forth. And it's so funny. But the looks that they give each other as soon as Lux is like, "Guys, stop
Mhm.
squabbling like an old married couple."
No,
That's,
I
yeah.
love the way they like instantly turn to look at each other when he says that. It's so good. Yeah, I agree. He's so paranoid about the sonic screwdriver, and oh, it just being a Christmas gift that he gives to her. So cute, like so hilarious. Also, it always bugs me how they keep being like, "That's my sonic screwdriver," but it was never his sonic screwdriver. You know what I mean? Like, he
No, I
just
know
gave
exactly
her
what
a
you mean.
sonic screwdriver.
Yeah.
So it always bugs me that he's like, that's mine, even though it doesn't even look like his and it never was his, technically.
He's like, "That's mine. It's trademarked. Even though it looks slightly different, it's trademarked, so it's mine."
Only I can have sonic screwdrivers.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, and I love the whole like him River saying like stop being emotional. He's like, I'm not being emotional. Like she can see right through him. She can see that he's crashing out about Donna, and she's trying to get him to focus on the people that are still alive. And I love when she says, "Ah, you're hard work young," and Ten gets all offended. And we said this last week, but I love just like moments like that where she's like calling him young and saying he's the youngest she's ever seen him. Because on first watch, you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's so crazy. But watching it back, it's like, oh, yeah, like this doctor is so young. Like, the 10th Doctor is so young compared to what we have now. And he hasn't gone through all the things that we know he goes through with River and after her. And I don't know. I love those details.
Yeah, me too. The moment too when River tells the doctor his name is like so, I
Yes.
don't even know how to describe it, like emotional, but I don't know if that's like the right way. Like I don't know, you just see that he really realizes who she is,
Hmm.
and he just accepts that like they have to work together, and she knows like it's no easy feat telling him his name, which that sounds so ridiculous out of context.
No, I that's generally like one of the best moments of this episode and like one of
Mhm.
their best moments. And I love how like she's really apologetic about it because she knows for whatever reason that his name and having to say it is like a really heavy thing for him, and it's not
Mhm.
something that she would ever say lightly, but it's the only thing she has right now that will get him to trust her. And so she's really apologetic over the fact that she even has to say it and kind of shock him in this way. And David's performance is so incredible because he's just kind of like in shock but also realizing, okay, like if she knows this, like I do trust her at some point, and at this point like we can't keep fighting, like we have to be good, we have to move on, and I have to trust her. Like if she knows that, it's just and when he brings it up at the end, we'll get to it, but oh my gosh, I just love that moment.
We talked a bit about the crew last week, but we get to talk more about them now because they have more of a component to the story, I feel.
Mhm.
Um, Poor Anita, can I just say, like, Homegirl noticed she had two shadows. She's crying. Like, she's calmly crying, and River has the nerve to be like, girl, keep yourself together. And she's like, excuse me, I'm about to die, and I'm only crying. It's not an overreaction, and
Yeah.
period.
No, I love her saying that and like being scared but being brave at the same time. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how the doctor brings that up towards the end of the episode. Like, I really liked Anita. She was
Mm-hmm.
brave even when she was dying, even when she was scared and crying. And I just think we really don't get to know a lot about these characters. Like, they're just kind of
Yeah.
background, but I really like details like that. That just kind of shows you who they are. Especially, I think you can tell a lot about someone when their back's against the wall, when they are about to
Mm-hmm.
die and they know they're about to die. Like what you do in those kind of moments, I don't want to say defines you, but in a way it kind of does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it shows your character and
Mm-hmm.
the integrity of who you are. So yeah, I love what Ten says at the end, that she was brave when a lot of other people would act otherwise. And I feel too like other Dave stayed with Ten as River instructed him to, and he ended up dying. And that also shows that like he knew the risk, but he was staying anyway because that's what a crew member does. You protect each other.
Yeah, I love watching that back too and realizing like, oh, he just keeps saying we should go doctor, and he just keeps
Yeah.
repeating it like that, and it's like, oh gosh, they got him and the doctor doesn't even realize, and it's his fault for trying to stick around and talk to the Vashta, and River, didn't want him to, and had Dave stay to try to pull him out, but he wasn't listening when Dave tried to pull him out. It's just, it's great.
Yeah, I do. As sad as that the ending of that scene is with like other Dave being dead, the back and forth between River and Ten before that moment is hilarious
Hmm.
because Ten is like, "Give me a few minutes," and River's like, "No, it's a what does she say? She says, "It's a carnivorous swarm in a suit. You can't reason with it." Other Dave stay with him and pull him out when he's too stupid to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a scene like that when you're watching this for the first time, you're like, "Oh, she knows him." Like she
Yeah.
really knows him. Like all he says is give me a few minutes, and she knows that he's going to try to negotiate with this swarm in a suit. And I think that's great. What do you think about the reveal that this library is full of the Vashta forest?
Okay, this is what I'm confused about because the Vashta say that we did not come here. We came from here. We come from here. These are our forests. And so they came in these books. So were the books always in this library since like the dawn of time for whatever reason? Or did someone add these books? And then in that case, those books, which were full of the spores of Vashta, where did they come from?
So yeah, I agree. It's kind of like confusing. I always interpret it as before this planet was a library, it was full of forest and trees, and so then they
Oh.
cut down the trees, turned them into books, and made it this giant library. That's really the only thing that really makes sense to me, and to explain like, oh, we've always been here and how the books are there for us. But I guess it's up for interpretation.
I like your interpretation. That's the one I will stick to.
Thank you. Oh, I there's another great moment later on with River and Anita where River says, it's funny, I keep wishing that the doctor was here. I don't know why, but that line just like, I love it and it kills me. And what she says after that about, she says like, when you look at a photo of someone before you knew them and they just don't look right, they don't look complete. I think about her saying this all the time, like this line about, looking at an old photo of someone before you knew them. I think about that probably once a week. I think about it all the time, anytime I look at like an old photo of someone I know. But mostly, this is, I don't know, this is embarrassing, but I mostly think about it when I'm rewatching TV shows and I'm starting from the beginning, and you're seeing characters like new and fresh before they've gone through all the trauma that they're going to go through. Like, I think about this line when we see Captain Jack in The Empty Child, because I'm like, he's just a normal, regular human baby. He has no idea the trauma he's about to go through. He's about to become
Yeah.
immortal and eventually die as the face of Bo. And I'm like, he's not quite Jack yet. He's not quite the Jack we know and love. Like, he's still incomplete. And I just think about that all the time when I'm rewatching shows and seeing like characters in the beginning of their story before all the bad things happen to them.
I know exactly what you mean. I always think of that too. Not necessarily like the line River says, but I always think of like the concept behind that whenever I'm rewatching a show. And I'm like, dang, this is so crazy. Seeing like baby Rose before she becomes Bad Wolf and becomes like
Hmm.
second in command to the doctor. And like even applying it to like River in this episode, low key. Like
Yeah.
for the audience, more so
Hmm.
for the audience. Like we as the audience, we're just starting River's story and it's not complete yet and there's so much more. Yeah, her line, honestly, actually I'm about to say the same exact thing I said in last week's episode. Moffat just has a way of writing lines in Doctor Who and his
Yes.
characters.
And he writes lines in this episode that he builds off of later. Like last
Yeah.
week, there's the line about the crash of the Byzantium, which it literally turns into a full two-parter episode. And then he, in the scene, River says she's seen whole armies turn and run away. Literally,
Mhm.
demons run. And then
Yeah.
the end with Beryllium and the singing towers, like he turned that into a whole episode. And there's also just lines in here that become reoccurring themes and lines and phrases between the Doctor and River throughout their relationship. And just like as a writer, you can tell Stephen Moffat has all these worlds and characters in his head, and he can see these characters so clearly, who they are, who they will be 10, 20, 50, 1,000 years from now. And it's just his mind. His mind. I can't.
Yeah, he is just incredible.
I love when River talks about how the Doctor can open the TARDIS doors with a
Mhm.
snap of his fingers, and then the Doctor comes in and says, "No one can do that." And then he does it at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a semi regular thing in the show. And
Mhm.
every time they have that in the show, someone snapping their fingers to open the TARDIS doors, I think about River and her impact, and
Same.
it's insane. I'm obsessed. Also, the moment between the Doctor and River where the Doctor says, "I am the Doctor," and River says, "Yeah, someday."
Gagged. Okay, so a big plot point in this episode that we find out that the Doctor finally figures out is that all of the people they thought were dead in this library were not. They were saved basically to the hard drive, the computer, and we find out that Cal, the little girl, her name is actually Charlotte Abigail Lux. And this was Lux, the crew member's grandfather's youngest daughter, who was really sick.
Also, someone pointed out online that's just his aunt. Like his
You're so right.
grandfather's youngest daughter. That's just your aunt, bro. Like, why
That's
do you
the
got to
most
say all
dramatic
that?
way. That's
Right?
the most dramatic way to say that.
Right? But I do kind of like it because it does paint this picture of this family and this like man who loved his youngest daughter so much that
Hmm.
he kept her alive forever and plugged her into this library. So I get it, but it is just like such a like you can just be like, "Oh, that's my aunt."
No, you're so right. But yeah, seeing her face on one of the statues is actually so sad. Like it gets
It
me every time.
is. No, it is really sad.
So something about like the computer, and I don't think they necessarily fully explain it, but there's different glitches in the system and computer originally, so different things kept going wrong. And Miss Evangelista was one of those. Like her face glitched. And her face in this episode, in this alternate reality, is giving Apple photo booth filter.
Totally.
Like I know you all know exactly what filter I'm talking about. Like I could open photo booth right now,
Oh yeah.
make my face look like hers. So that's interesting. But the explanation they gave for Miss Evangelista's glitch is that the Wi-Fi saved her as she was dying with her data ghost.
Yeah.
So that's why she turned up with the photo booth face.
The photo booth face. I love that. That's perfect. Yeah, I do always really appreciate this reveal, and also like the reveal that Lux, like, he's not just protecting a patent, he's protecting his family and this like family
Mm-hmm.
secret because his grandfather didn't want anyone to know about Cal. Like, he didn't want her to be mocked or used or anything like that. And I think that just really changes your perspective on the character and what's going on in this world and this family that owns this world, and that this whole reality that Donna's in is just a dream from this little girl. And it's really sad but really sweet
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, it definitely is. And with this whole reveal, they're all being chased and they finally make their way to the data core of this computer. They find out about Cal and all of that. But before we get into the river song of it all, of this scene, there is a moment in interaction between the Doctor and the Vashta Narada that I really like. So Anita's gone, but the Vashtinarada in Anita's spacesuit is coming towards the doctor. Like, you see all these shadows coming towards the doctor to kill him, basically. And he essentially says, hey, we're in the biggest library of the
Mm-hmm.
universe. I'm the doctor. Look me up. That line, I think about that line so often as like
Yeah.
one of Ten's best lines.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And it's really simple, but really powerful at the same time. And it's such a better line than something from like Girl in the Fireplace where he's like, well, I'm the Lord of Time. Like, so, which is
Yeah,
so gross and cringy, and I hate it. But this is just so much more powerful in the idea that they do back off after he says that because they look
yeah,
up and they see all these stories of who even knows what about the doctor is just so fascinating.
100%. And I love when they're like, we'll give you a day.
Which is was very generous. Like he didn't even need
Mhm.
all that time.
It was very generous considering they like to kill off people, so it's appreciated.
Yeah. I want to go back slightly when I forget what they do, but basically when they're about to go into the core and River activates a beam, some kind of travel beam, I don't know. But
Yeah.
the doctor says, "Oh, I bet I like you." And River says, "Oh, you do." I just love that little moment between them. And I think that's the moment where the doctor really starts to soften towards her and is like,
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah, I can see it now. I can see why future me likes this woman and why we get along." Like, it just
Yeah.
makes sense for them.
Yeah, and I love how a few minutes later he's trying to like send her away to be safe. Meanwhile, he's going to like literally kill himself and sacrifice himself. I know we're so shocked, guys, because Tin has totally never done this before,
No, never.
but she yells at him saying, I hate you sometimes. Yeah.
And he says, "I know," which is just really funny. It's a really funny thing for him to say at that point. Um, but it's just the old married couple banter is already strong. And I
Hmm.
also love how that is something that evolves later on in their relationship. River saying, "I hate you," and the 11th Doctor being like, "No, you don't." I just love it. It's great.
Yeah. I also love that I don't even know who she tells, but she's like, if he dies, I'll kill him.
Yeah, yeah. She says that to Anita, who I think was already dead at that point.
Okay. We're here. We're talking about the crux of this episode, and I just know for a fact that River had been waiting her entire life to find a reason to punch the doctor and get away with it.
Oh, you're so right. Yeah. I love that she just has handcuffs, and he's like, "Why do you have handcuffs?" And
And then
spoilers.
spoilers, and then in Time of the Angels two-parter, one of them says, "You and me, do we always end up in handcuffs or something along those
You,
lines?"
me, handcuffs. Must it always end this way? River says that. It's so
Jail.
good. Jail. Immediate jail. Literally. But as she's sitting there and she's realizing, she's talking to the doctor and she's realizing, wait, this is really sad. She's realizing that she's going to die here, which means that the doctor she knows and loves has always known this is how she would go, that this is how she would die. And she's starting to put the pieces together and realize everything about Beryllium and that night they had and how he knew she was coming here to the library. And oh, it's so crazy to think about. And it's something that weirdly I feel like goes undiscussed is the fact that he knows their entire relationship,
Yeah.
that she's dead and that she died to save him. And he's being forced to kind of like fall in love with this woman who he's already seen die, who he's already lost. And that is just absolutely insane and absolutely heartbreaking, especially when you think about it in the context of her being Amy and Rory's daughter. Like,
Yeah.
I always think about that when that gets revealed. Like, he's so surprised, but also he knows what's coming for her. Like, she's already dead. And it's insane. Like, the concept of introducing a major character through their death and then having her continue on through the show from an earlier point in her life is actually insane. It's actually insane. And it's something that only this show could do. And they did
Yeah.
it so well. And everything got tied up so beautifully. And when you watch her arc, like, it really does so perfectly circle back to this episode.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The way it was just masterfully done. And you're right. It is so emotional and so soul crushing to realize, like, the doctor who we know what he's like when he loses someone he loves
Hmm.
dearly. Like, case in point, Rose, for example, and Donna and Journey's End. The people he loses, he takes it so hard. So being introduced to someone he knows he's going to fall in love with, he knows he's going to be close with, because there's only one reason she would ever know his actual name,
Oh,
and for him
yeah.
to like see her death play out in front of him before he even really knew her and still choose to fall in love with her is also insane and crazy, because you would think the doctor, just based on previous experience, would just be like, nope, like, I'm staying free. But he knows that, like, what he and River said to each other, he has to honor when he's like, time can be
Hmm.
rewritten. And she's like, not those times, not one line, don't you dare.
Yeah, and it is just, I really like the idea that, we you see it in the 11th Doctor. Like, he even says the next time we see her, that woman is not dragging me into anything. And he's really resistant to let her in, to get close to her, but it's almost like impossible for him not
Mm-hmm.
to fall in love with her just because of who she is and how well she knows him and their dynamic. I just think about how hard it would be to write a love interest for the doctor that kind of serves as his equal in a way that, like, Rose is very much like a love interest that is like us, like anyone that could come from Earth, but
Yeah.
River is really designed to kind of be more of an equal in a way that
Mm-hmm.
Rose just couldn't be. And I that's not an easy task. Like, I think the
No.
show for years was really resistant of giving the doctor any kind of love interest. Like, that was a completely new idea that happened in New Who. And to introduce a character like this, to set it up as the doctor's wife, like, that is a big task, but it feels like they pulled it off so effortlessly. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
due to Stephen Moffat's writing, because he has such a strong grasp of who the doctor is, and that's why he can write every regeneration so well, and it always feels like the doctor. And also Alex Kingston's performance. Like, you can tell she's a fan of the show. Like, she said she grew up on Classic, and she has such a strong understanding of who this character is and River's dynamic with the doctor, and just those two creative minds together really pulled off such an amazing story.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Also, yeah, the reveal that she said his name is crazy. Like, when he's like,
Yeah,
River, you know my name. Like, there's only one way I could ever say it. Oh, such a gag. So good.
so good. I have such like an honest question that I
Oh.
don't think I will ever get the answer to unless the answer is in like the original script. How did Ten get out of those handcuffs at the end?
How did he get out of those handcuffs? That is also a question I have. Maybe Donna somehow found him and got him out. Maybe River put like a time lock on it. So after a
Ooh.
certain amount of time, it let him go. Actually, that's what I'm going with.
Wait, you know what? That makes so much sense. That is totally something she would do.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. I've always wondered that too, and I just answered that question right now. Oh, David's acting, just real quick before we move on from the scene, is just so incredible. Like, he's watching, hanging on her every word. He's watching horrified and just like seeing,
Yeah.
oh, he plays it so well, because it's like he's watching like this person that he loves, but he doesn't love her yet. He doesn't really know her yet. And he's watching a future love of his life just die in front of him, and he can't do anything to stop it. And you can just see the horror on his face as this is all going down. And David just plays it perfectly. Oh, okay. So all these people get saved. They get out of the
Yeah.
data core, whatever. These people have been gone for 100 years. So
Wait, they have?
yes, because the whole thing happened 100 years ago.
That's right.
So yeah, they're alive again, but everything they knew and everyone they loved is gone, and they just have to go back to their respective planets, homes, towns, after 100 years. Like, imagine if you were just plucked into your life, but 100 years from now. Like, it would be a completely different world, a completely different society. And you're like, hello?
Not them becoming like the characters on the show Manifest.
No, yes, but like 10 times worse.
10 times worse because like 100 years in the future versus what was it? Like
5 years.
5 years? Like 100 years? That's so much.
Like, these people were essentially just reborn. They have to come up with entirely new lives after they
Oh my
spent like
gosh,
a
yeah.
hundred years in a computer. They were probably all declared dead, so they have to like
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, I'm back from the dead." Someone else is definitely in their house. Like, they maybe can go meet up with their like great grandchildren if they're lucky, and that's like they're just kind of having to start completely fresh.
That's actually insane.
Right? Someone write a short story about Lee and what he does after leaving the
Yeah.
library.
Please,
Yeah, I
someone
guess
write
one
that
day.
short story so we can know. And honestly, all of these people don't seem to be in a hurry. Like, so many of them are crowded together, chit chatting. It's like, do you guys know
Oh,
you have a deadline?
do you know you have 30 minutes? Yeah, they seem
Literally.
totally chill. They could not care that they've been dead for the last 100 years.
That would not be me. That would
Oh,
not be me.
honestly, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, you should have
Yeah.
just left me in that freaking computer. Like, I don't want to be here 100 years in the future. All my friends and family are dead. Like, put me back in the computer, bro. Like, what the heck?
No, literally. You know what I would do though? Like, if I was forced into this situation, I would become friends with some people. And between us, we would create an alliance and we would have our own house and we would help each other in life.
Wait, that's a spinoff right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a sitcom of a couple library data ghost people trying to make it in society after they missed 100 years.
It's like, you know how there's always those people who seem to be like stuck in the past, like just based on their appearance or clothes or trends? That's them, but they're 100 years in the past.
It's like they're all like mini Steve Rogers who were like on ice for like however many years Steve Rogers was on ice for. Yeah. Crazy concept.
I love the ending with River's voiceover where she says, everybody knows that everybody dies, and nobody knows it like the doctor. But I do think that all the skies of all the worlds might turn dark if he ever for one moment accepted, and then it just cuts to 10, realizing he can save her into the computer.
No, this ending is such a gag, and I kind of forget about it sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
because you feel like the episode's ending, and then it's like, no, wait, like, and the way he comes running back down those stairs and is like, why did I give her my Sonic? Why did I give her my Sonic screwdriver? He's talking about how he had all those years to think of a way to save her. And then he does save her. He uploads her to the library core data thing. I don't know, whatever. And yeah, it's such a beautiful ending. And I love him running through the library and he's like, stay with me one last time. Watch us run. It's so good.
It's so good. And then it ends off with another, like the voiceover continued, but this version says, everybody knows that everyone dies, but not today.
I love that. So good.
So good.
The concept of River being stuck in like the cloud with people that are just like her coworkers, essentially. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah, and then her like taking care of the kids is so
Yeah.
interesting. But I can see it. She is her mother's daughter, and
Oh.
Amy does have that nurturing aspect.
Yeah. Now I'm just thinking about how Amy like never knew that this was where River was heading, and like the doctor never told her like I already saw her die, and like
Oh,
everything with the library, and
yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about Amy and Rory, you guys. I can't wait
Yeah.
to talk about Amy and Rory.
I am so unbelievably excited for Amy and Rory. I'm really looking forward to it. And my personal headcanon is that the doctor somehow actually, no, this makes sense because they're in the greatest library in the universe. So within this like computer reality, River still gets to go on all of these different adventures.
I like that.
Yeah, so she
I
still has
mean,
her moments.
yeah, we see her pop up in The Name of the Doctor as
Yeah,
data goes, so who knows what else she's doing.
exactly.
Now, the answer is clear, but who's the star of the show?
The star of the show is River Song,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah,
Duh.
duh.
But a special shout out goes to Lee. Shout out
Yeah.
to you, King. You deserved better.
Oh, Lee, my man, I'm so sorry. And a special shout out to Anita. Like,
Yeah.
if there was more, not more time, but if there wasn't like, more important characters doing their thing, I feel like we would have gotten a lot more from Anita. And she had a really good sad death. So shout out to
Yeah.
her.
Shout out to you, Queen.
What is the heart of this episode?
When you're in a giant library and no one, and I mean literally no one is there, run. Listen to the statues. Run.
Run.
And if you ever hear someone ask and say, "Hey, who turned out the lights?" Run even faster. Get out of there.
So true. I think the heart of this episode is if you are going to send your husband a message on his psychic paper telling him to come meet you at the library, make sure it goes to a version of your husband that actually knows who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have any reviews from the past?
Yes, we do. And they are both from IMDb. And this first one I have here was written by the user ZeroBeat on November 13th, 2008. And they said, "Isn't it wonderful when the previous best episode ever, Blink, no longer holds that title?"
Blink's day has come to an end.
They continue by saying, "And it's extra wonderful to find out that the writer of these is slated to take over as showrunner for season 5.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I thought that was just like this is just a snippet from this review, but I just thought that was like a fun little, like truly like time capsule review moment.
Oh, yeah. I would have loved to seen the reaction back in the day when it was
Yeah.
announced that Moffat was going to be the new showrunner. I really want to see what that discourse was like.
No, me too. And this last review is by the user The Thrills Rule, and they wrote on June 8th, 2008, with the title of their review asking the question of if this is the best episode of the season. And they said their answer is yes. This episode outdoes all the previous episodes and does so much for the feel of Doctor Who. With the inclusion of the Doctor's future, Moffat brought me to tears. I was literally crying as the finale played out. A great ending, too, as it left you wanting more and also feeling content that the story had met its ending. All the actors created such great support, too, for the story to flow, and this episode definitely exceeded Silence in the Library and gave it the best ending it possibly could.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare occasions where the second part in a two-parter is actually better than the first part.
Yeah, I was about to list another example, but you know what? I'm not going to because we're going to get in a rabbit hole of this conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, this second part is Such a good episode on its own. This two-parter is incredible and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy that next week we will be here talking about Midnight.
Real quick before we go, I do want to send us down a rabbit hole because this is our last Moffat episode until he's showrunner. So I want
Yeah.
us to spontaneously rank his episodes in the R2D1 era. To recap, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, Girl in the
Okay.
Fireplace, Blink, Silence in the Library, and Forest of the Dead.
Okay, we
Okay.
took a momentary pause to rank these episodes, and now we're going to talk about them real quick.
Yeah. Okay, so from the 4 stories, my ranking from least favorite to favorite, in last place, Girl in the Fireplace, duh.
Mm-hmm.
Then Blink. Then it's really hard to choose between his two-parters, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, and Silence in the Library. But for my favorite, and honestly, it's going to depend on the day, but for my favorite, I went with this two-parter, Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, just because I am such a big River Song fan, and this is such a great introduction to her. And I think this is just a really well done story in general. Like, this story does feel like it could be a movie, and I just really enjoy it. However, you know what? Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, it could take first on another day because it gives us my favorite trio. It gives us like iconic moments. People still talk about that gas mask child, but that's how I feel right now.
So fair, so valid. Yeah, my ranking goes from least to favorite. Girl in the Fireplace is at the bottom. If you listen to our episode, you're probably not shocked.
Yeah.
Then it's Blink, and this was hard, but I went with my heart. Then it's Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, and number 1 is Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. And that's honestly because it has 9, it has Rose, it has Jack, it has the
Mm-hmm.
gas mask child. There's the Everybody Lives moment. We have Nancy. I'm also a World War II girly. Like, that is an area of history I always find myself reading about. And I think that's a big aspect of why I love this two-parter so much. But Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead is like right on par because we have River. We have so many incredible moments and lines in these 2 episodes that honestly, another day I might switch it.
Yeah, it's really tough to choose between these two-parters, but yeah, that's all we have for this week. And next week, we get to talk all about Midnight, which I can't believe we're going to be talking about Midnight. That's so insane.
Yeah, it's insane. But until then, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at TimeyWimeyPod.
And email us anything and everything to timeyimeypod@gmail.com.
And with all of that said, we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ta-ra.